KBS, and we're talking about the pension age, and particularly for women. Well, Joanne Welch is from Hertford. She's campaign director of Backto60.com. Joanne has set up a petition about the pension age for women being reduced, and this petition now has more than 665,000 signatures. And Joanne joins me on the line now. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Jasmine. Thank you for your call. I really appreciate it.
Well, tell us more about your campaign, Joanne.
It started off because women had lifelong inequities that were never rebalanced, and all this about we're going to be equal to men is only superficial because, with those lifelong inequities are about low occupational pensions or low occupational pensions, low pay, the maternity, handicap, carer roles, and divorcees. They were ill-advised by law firms. They were not told about that they would not get their pension at 60, so they were divorced without settlement, appropriate settlement. The National Insurance Fund is actually in the black, and it's our dues, and they could give us the money back tomorrow. Poland has reduced back to 60. France is on the way to doing that. There really is no reason. Longevity and equality premises have been busted in our report. There are so many reasons why that we should have our own dues returned.
And you talk about, because the arguments are always given is that, well, people are living longer and there just isn't enough money, as much money as we thought there was. So what research have you got that points to the fact that there is enough money in the coffers?
We've just commissioned a report by an investigative journalist, award-winning investigative journalist, David Henke, and it's an incredible report. It gives all the arguments why we should have our own dues returned. It busts the longevity and the equality premise. He talks about, the stealth escalation of the pension implementation. It goes through everything. We're tweeting it out over the last few days. It is dynamite.
And Joanne, some of the women that you know, how have they been affected by this?
We had we've got a database which was commissioned by Annecy Campaigns, Yvette Greenway, and I think we've got about 20,000 responses now. Women are not committing suicide. Women are suicidal and self-harming. Their retirement plans have been annihilated. There's no savings left. They can't get jobs. All this business about apprenticeships is utter rubbish. I mean, even if they were apprenticeships, why would women of 60 who could teach young children from their own careers how to do their jobs, why would we want to earn £3.50 an hour when we've paid diligently into the fund and we expect our money's returned? What were your plans for your own retirement? Did you bank on quite literally the fact that you would be able to retire at 60? Well, all the women who are in this campaign are, having problems in that regard. Absolutely. I mean, our voting power changed the election results, and we're walking towards legal action, which we're crowdfunded for, and we're walking towards our voting power, and we're scrutinising constituencies as we speak. And I'm sitting here and thinking about everything you said about people getting the wrong advice, and particularly you mentioned, I picked up on there, on people getting divorced and women getting divorced. Where did that stem from, to your mind, that they were getting the wrong advice financially? Women tell us that they're in financial straits because they were led to believe, obviously, it was woven into the fabric of society, they get their pension at 60. It was a contract. If you contract out underserved, then you contract in. So they were expecting their pensions at 60. Not no law firms. Some law firms did not correctly advise women that actually the raises, that the ages were rising. The women didn't know. They weren't told. Some women were told, but too late. It is a debacle of monumental magnitude. I mean, it just This is bigger than Northern Rock.
Because it affects so many people, and I can hear the concern in your voice. Joanne, thank you for talking to us. And you're up to 665,000 signatures so far on your petition, aren't you?
Absolutely, and our data on Annecy Campaign Silence of Suicide, which is Michael Mansfield QC and Exec Greenway charity, is it really does not put the policymakers in a good position. There's this willful neglect of 3.48 million women.
We will take, Joanne, thank you, Joanne Welch there, Campaign Director of Backto60.com. We'll take more of your calls on this just after the news. If you want to get in touch, it's 03459 455 555. Headlines for you in a moment, but first of all, the latest travel with James. October 2020, both men and women's state pension age will increase to 66, and thereafter, from 2026 to 2028, it will rise again to 67. But let's talk about right now rather than just in the future. I want to know if this is something you're affected by. If you want to get in touch, it's 03459 455 555. Carol is on the line from Hertfordshire. Hello, Carol.
Hi.
So how has this affected you?
Well, my pension age is already 66.
Already 66, okay.
Already 66 because it went up to 66 apparently in the 1995 Act.
Right, okay.
It went up from 60 straight to 66, and at the moment I'm only 63.
And how do you feel about it, and was there anything you were able to do to plan for it?
Well, I wasn't told about it.
Right, okay, so it was landed as a surprise then?
It landed as a surprise. I've never heard officially about this. I've only heard because somebody I know that I worked with when I was 59, she was 59, and she said she'd had a letter.
Right, so this is a surprise to me that people aren't informed about it. Not that I'm saying you should know, but I just presumed that, if it was going to be changed, that you would have been directly communicated with about it. But so it's come as a bit of a shock, presumably.
A hell of a shock, because my finances were such that because I'm now divorced, my finances are very difficult, and on top of that, I've been homeless and bankrupt. So it makes it very difficult for women like me.
Was it something? Had you planned to retire at 60, presumably?
Well, I've been self-employed most of my life, and my ex-husband was a farmer. So farmers don't retire, and their wives don't retire. We just carry on working.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a planned thing as such to actually stop working altogether. But then being divorced, which after a very long marriage is not something you contemplate or it's not something you plan for.
Of course not. No.
And he went bankrupt too. We lost all our pension investment.
That's really tough. You spend your life, toiling, literally working the land, and you end up in a financial situation where you're on your own. You presumably lost everything around you by the sounds of it.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So if it hadn't been for my son's neighbours who took me in, I would have been on the streets in my 50s.
So it was literally the kindness of your neighbours that saved you then?
Of my son's neighbours, yes. He owned a house that he took his sister in, and but he had a tiny house, no room for me. So his neighbours took me in, who were virtual strangers to me, but obviously very kind people.
And what else did you have to do alongside that? So you got a roof over your head, thankfully, but how were you able to sustain, what did you do for food? What did you do thereafter? Because I presume you didn't stay with them forevermore.
No, I stayed with them for a year, and then I got a full-time job, and I was very fortunate in that I was housed by a charitable trust, a local charitable trust that looks after people initially over 60, but now it's over 55,
right,
who can't afford the enormous cost of rent in this area.
And this is the problem, isn't it? Is getting that roof over your head.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I mean, I'm safe here as long as the rent is paid which it is at the moment because I get housing benefit. And what I do is, as soon as housing benefit comes in, and it goes straight out. I don't. But my job seekers allowance is reduced because I've been self-employed.
Right. So you're doing some work, and it's sustaining you, presumably.
No, I'm not working now. I have been self-employed.
Well, because you were in farming. Yeah.
Yeah. So because of that. It means that apparently the stamp is different. So although I paid what HMRC asked me to pay, it didn't qualify me for the benefits that I now need.
It's just hearing your circumstances, Carol. It's incredibly tough, but I'm wondering. I mean, I'm not in charge at the Treasury, neither are you. But I'm wondering if the people sitting there would argue that this decision about increasing the retirement age had to be made because there's just too much pull on very limited resource.
I think that, the figures about the longevity of people have actually proved in the last couple of weeks to be false. And that the age, if you're living with a very low income, you're likely to only live to about 74 now. Now, I spoke to a young man of 19 the other day, and his predicted pension age, the state pension, is 76. Now, there's no other country in the Western Hemisphere that is treating their older population like this. We paid in, a lot of women have paid national insurance for over 40 years, full national insurance for over 40 years, and we were promised our pension at 60. We were not informed that it was not coming.
Which bit of it, is it the fact that, obviously it financially it hurts and it's put a huge burden on you, but the shock of it seems to be the thing that has stayed with you?
The shock has stayed with me, and also the injustice. I really believe that in this country in particular, we don't value older people. We don't value the wisdoms of older people. We don't value the knowledge of older people. We discard older people. I feel discarded and forgotten.
Carol, I have to admit, I agree with you on that front. I often think the older generation are invisible and not valued. But I just wonder if we look at it on a purely financial level, that there just isn't enough money in the coffers.
Well, it's been proved that actually the money is there. They're just not spending it on the pensions. They're spending it on something else.
I wonder if people are listening to your story and in a very similar situation, or if they've got a view on it. And I will say, whilst we're talking to Carol, if you want to pick up the phone and join the conversation, it's 03459 455 555. We're talking about the fact that the pension age for women particularly has changed. Huge jumps in life expectancy means that they're paying out, the government, the Treasury, are paying out for people for a lot longer than they thought they would, which has led to this issue. But what is your view? Are you someone who is affected by it? 03459 455 555 if you want to join the conversation. Just looking at some of your calls and texts, your tweets and texts, it looks like people are very much affected by it. And with Carol's story there, just not being told about it. I wonder if, Carol, did you... oh, no, Carol's gone. We've lost Carol. But I think what Carol was saying, that she didn't get a letter ever about the fact that her pension age was going to change. It was someone that she worked with or knew as a friend who got a letter, but she wasn't informed at all. Have you had a letter through the post? Have you had anything to tell you that your pension age is not what you thought it was going to be, that your retirement age, everything is going to shift because you had all these plans for age 60, and along it comes and you're told, no, you don't get your state pension. Do you think, it's easy to say, well, we should all be looking at private pensions. That's only if you've got the money to pay into one in the first place. 03459 455 555. If you want to pick up the phone, you can text us as well, of course, 81333. Start your message with 3CR. If you're wondering who it is, it's Yasmin here with you this morning.